Today we're going to read an article about Alfred Wegener, and this is a picture of him. You can kind of see on the background. This is a scientist. He lived about 100 years ago, and the work that he did led modern scientists to be able to explain what happens to the plates and the mantle at plate boundaries. Wegener also used fossils in his work. So today, when you read this article, as you're reading it, it's going to help you better understand how Mesosaurus fossils were found on both the South American plate and the African plate. So to read this article, you're going to start by going to Amplify, but I'm going to show you just from the home page because some of the things have changed. So when you open up Chrome, make sure you're in Chrome. Once you're in Chrome, you can you'll see this pop up. If you just see Google pop up, then go ahead and click on this little house icon right here, and that will open up this page, the Seattle Schools website. From here, click on Student Portal. That's the one with the little pencil, and then you're going to just kind of scroll down all the way. They changed this over the weekend, and now you're going to see this new shared app student portal. So click there, and then that opens up the student portal. Because I'm already logged on, it went directly here, but you're probably going to see a box pop up that says something about the Active Directory, and of course you just select yes. From here, you're going to go to Amplify Science, and when you go here, it's going to open up to whatever page you were on last time. I happen to be in this one because this is what our lesson is about today. But you're going to want to click over here to this little menu with the 3 lines in the top corner, and when you click on that, then you can go directly to the library. And in the library is where you're going to find this article, which is actually called the same thing as this lesson, which is a continental puzzle. So click on the library, and then it's going to open up all your recently read things. And it might be slightly different than what yours are. I have recently read the continental puzzle, but I'm going to scroll all the way down through all of our units until you see the one that says plate motion, because that's where you're likely going to be able to find it. So if we scroll down, almost there to plate motion, and there it is. The one that you want is a continental puzzle, and it has a picture of these fossils that are here, and you're going to learn more about those fossils as you read it. It's going to ask you probably, like, do you want to open it, download it, just hit read. I've been reading it, so I can click on continuing reading. I'm not exactly sure what it will say for you, but I think it'll be pretty obvious. From there, I'm going to scroll back up to the top. There's a couple of cool features that you can use in the Amplify library. One of them is that if you want to, you can have someone read it to you, and you can do that by clicking on this little icon with the speech, the sound waves and the speech box. So you can do that. Now, I'm not asking you just to read the article. I'm asking you to annotate the article. And that might seem a little tricky because we're not using paper and pencil. So I'm going to show you some of the features that can help you annotate it. Let's start by doing this a little bit together. So I'm going to start by reading the title, which just says A Continental Puzzle. This title suggests that there's some sort of puzzle with the continents. I know the word puzzle can be a bunch of pieces that fit together, but it can also be a mystery. So I kind of wonder, like, this puzzle in this case, does it mean, a mystery? Does it mean something fitting together? What is a continental puzzle? So I'm going to highlight this word and record my thinking about it. So to do that, I'll just click on a continental puzzle and highlight it. And then as soon as I highlight it, all of these things pop up. Add a note, highlight, or copy. I want to add a note. Once I do that over here, I'm just going to write what I'm wondering about. So I'm going to say, what does puzzle mean? And in this case, because I'm wondering about that. Okay, so then let's look at this first paragraph. So I'm going to hit save. And now my little note will show up here, and you can see that it's underlined to show that I have a note. Okay, so let's read this paragraph. It says, for scientists, making big discoveries and sharing them with the public can be a big deal. Often their discoveries come after years of hard work, and they finally get to see the results of what they've done. In some cases, their work is welcomed by other scientists and can even make them celebrities. However, this is not what happened to Alfred Wegener. And then it says in parentheses, 1880 to 1930, so he lived a while ago. Wagner was the German scientist who first argued that continents on the Earth's surface had moved over long periods of time. During Wagner's lifetime, other scientists thought his claim was too strange to be true. They also said that Wagner did not have convincing evidence to support his ideas. At the time, many scientists mocked Wagner's claims. It wasn't until many years after his death that other scientists came to accept his argument. I'm going to scroll down a little bit so you can see this picture of Alfred Wegener. So when I read this first paragraph, there's a lot of interesting things going on here. I think it's saying that the ideas we have today about how plates move, the ideas that we're learning about in this class right now, were doubted less than 100 years ago. I want to make a note of that. If I write a question about this, I can remember it and answer the question later. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this section of the article that just says, during Alfred Wegener's lifetime, other scientists thought his claim was too strange. I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to add a note. And the note that I'm going to add over here is, I'll just say, why did scientists doubt his claims? So I'm wondering, like, why didn't they think there was some merit to that? And you'll notice that when I added this, again, something highlighted over here. So I'll go ahead and hit save. Okay, so as you're reading through the rest of this article and reading through your article, you might come across new words, things that you hadn't seen before, or just words that you know we're learning about right now, things that you might want to notice later on when we're using this article as a resource. So if you come down to the next paragraph here, you can see that there's this new word here that's popping up. So let's kind of read this first two sentences together. It says, in 1915, Wagner shocked other scientists when he made the claim that the continents hadn't always been where they are today. He argued that the continents had all been together in one large supercontinent, which he named Pangaea. This word supercontinent, I'm kind of curious about what that means. I'm going to highlight that. And this other word here, Pangaea, I'm gonna highlight that as well. So that way, as I'm scrolling around later through this article, I can use it as a resource, and I can remember, oh, I think the word supercontinent and Pangaea are connected because it says the supercontinent was named Pangaea. So I'm just gonna notice that when I click here on what I've highlighted, you can also change it. You can underline it. You can change the highlight color, and so I'm just going to leave it yellow, but I wanted you to be aware that after you highlight it, if you click on the highlight, there's lots of options about what you can do. You can also come up here and add a note for your highlight. So I'm going to go ahead and just say, like, what is a supercontinent? Because it's, that's an interesting word that we haven't really seen before. So what is that? I'm really curious about it. And it doesn't even like how I spelled supercontinent, but it's spelled the same way. It's just not a word that we use very often. So is it even a word? So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. So as you open up your own article in the library, I want you to annotate it by adding questions and comments. I think each paragraph should have at least 2 questions or comments. A comment could be a connection to something we're learning in class, or it could be something that's a connection to your own life. When you're finished with annotating it, then go ahead and move on to part 2.